Thanks, Alicia. European governments have responded with caution to the US president's renewed pressure on NATO allies to help secure the Strait of Hormuz. Donald Trump had warned of a bad future for NATO if allies failed to send support, before stating the US doesn't need their help anyway. Either way, European governments maintain it is not NATO's war. Deutsche Welle correspondent Thomas Sparrow joins us now from Berlin. Thomas, g'day. So what is driving Europe's reluctance to be drawn into this conflict?
There is a lot of reluctance among leading European countries, specifically because they don't believe that this is their war. It's not a war that they started, nor a war that they can control or end. And specifically on the case of NATO, European leaders have stressed that NATO is above all a defensive alliance. In other words, an alliance that is there to protect countries when they are attacked and not necessarily to protect sea lanes around the world. And a third element why they have been very cautious so far is because there's a lot of concern about the war potentially escalating further if there is a bigger participation from European countries. So those three elements explain why so far European countries have been very cautious when it comes to responding to Donald Trump's announcement, Donald Trump's interest also in European support. And that is why so far European leaders have been very cautious.
And Germany has been particularly firm in rejecting Donald Trump's request. How unified is the German government on this issue?
On this issue, on this rejection specifically, the German government does seem to be seeing things on the same level, so among the coalition partners, but that doesn't necessarily mean that there aren't important questions that are generating a lot of controversy among the different members of the coalition here in Berlin. Specifically, one is the fact that on the one hand, they do see the need to support two key allies, specifically the United States and Israel, while at the same time the government has expressed skepticism when it comes to the legal justification of the war itself. So that's one element that is a big dilemma for Berlin. The second dilemma is that they also see eye to eye with the United States that it was important to get rid of the regime in Iran, something that German Chancellor Friedrich Merz clearly stated when he visited the White House a few weeks ago. But at the same time, there's a lot of concern in Berlin and in other European capitals as well, by the way, about a possible long-term strategy. What will happen with Iran long-term? What will happen with the Middle East, middle to long-term as well? So you can see that those two key dilemmas are very important here in Berlin, and marked with a third point, which is very significant, and that is concern here in Germany about the potential impact that the war could have economically here in Germany and also in Europe.
And as we've heard repeatedly all around the world over the past couple of weeks, a fifth of global oil shipments go through that Strait of Hormuz. How worried are European governments about the economic fallout of the blockade?
Very worried indeed, specifically countries like Germany that depend to a large extent on exports that are very much focused on international trade, and also countries, again, like Germany, that have been focused for some time now in trying to recover their own economies. The growth forecast for Germany, minimal growth for 2026, and as such, there's concern that more instability internationally, that more conflicts internationally could actually affect that growth in Germany, could cause more economic troubles in a country that has already been suffering economically in the last few years. So there is a lot of concern, by the way, not only among the German government, but also among German society as well. There was a recent nationwide poll that was released here, and a majority of Germans are concerned about the potential impact that the war could have on international trade. They're also concerned about the overall security situation in Germany and Europe. So that gives you an idea of just how worried Germans are, and why the German reaction has been, on the one hand, cautious, while at the same time expressing that support towards the United States and Israel. But in the back of the German government's mind, in the policies that they are proposing, first and foremost is obviously trying to make sure that Germany does not have a big economic fallout out of this war, and that the country and the government can continue to be in a stable position for the next few months and years.
OK, Thomas Sparrow there in Berlin. Taking a look at the satellite image, Cyclone Narelle is intensifying over